okay, this is day 115, part 2, and I don't do retrospectives very often until someone like an esteemed person like Dr. Corsi says, that George Webb, he's got a lot of wild tangents, a good researcher. And then it makes me kind of look back, and I have to go back to 2 stories. Again, what I'm doing is going back and putting the dates on these more than a year old or almost a year old versions so they don't get confused with the Awan days, the Awan trial days that we're in now, which is day 115 of the Awan trial, or the DNC trial, whatever you want to call it, Fusion GPS trial, Podesta Group trial, FBI trial. They're all really one thing. But here's just 2 stories I went across. Is I'm going back and I'm taking the jitter out of these films, and I'm shortening them to the parts that are different. The parts at the beginning and the end are summaries and preludes that are just I'm clipping off to make it so that people can see different things with different episodes. And again, I go back to it and I look at 3 stories here. One is I was on this 20 burglaries thing, gosh, right from the start, and then counting how many Democrats were affected. Was it 31 Democrats and so forth? And still, I mean, Luke Rosiak's the only person at Daily Caller to really do a drill down on that and look. But I really went from the rep down to what port do they have? Greg Meeks has the port of JFK. LAX. Looking at Kansas City with the rep there. I can't remember his name right off the bat. Looking at the Skyport in Phoenix, and then looking at Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, all the ports up and down the East Coast, and then matching them up with the people who would be carrying those Blackberries. And remember, each one of those becomes a folder, and I can keep 31 different territories separate with one BlackBerry system. Each one of those is a secure access program. Guns going in and out. If somebody catches one person, hey, that's only one little thing that happened at the port of Newark, let's say, for Menendez, and we'll make it sound like a bribery trial, and boom, that's gone. And it's compartmentalized, and I still don't know anyone who said that. Now, is that a wild tangent of actually how it works and understanding the Menendez trial for the port of New Jersey, port of Newark? Maybe it is. I guess so. The fact that the Kislyak meetings, the 6 meetings with the Kislyak on the uranium, again, why is Kislyak going back and forth? Why is all this chatter between Hillary and Podesta and so forth and Manafort with Kislyak on the uranium? I still don't know anyone who's drilled down on that and surmised that, and I still don't know anybody who's connected that to the Iran deal. Seeing how this was all a lead up to Iran and how this uranium was diverted potentially to Iran. That turned out to be the key to the whole Peter Strzokes thing, the whole Peter Strzokes shared Dropbox. People still don't see Peter Strzokes as a shared Dropbox. People didn't see ImranAwans123.com as a shared Dropbox. But it's going to come out. So I don't see these things as wild tangents. I see them as drilling down on the facts. It's just a matter of facts. A couple of other examples is, again, over a year ago, almost a year ago, I did this piece on connecting Muzaffar Awan here as the key mouthpiece of Feta Gulen and all these pain clinics that were coming up in Michigan. And I went to Canada and I looked at the ones that had been developed in Canada before the ones that came down here in Michigan. So I kind of had it backwards because I was traveling from Michigan to Canada, but I connected it in time correctly, that's where the first intrusion or infiltration as far as the drug dealers, these pain clinics and these fake doctors and with Gulen in the United States, and then how it grew from there. Again, is that a wild tangent, or is that exactly what needs to happen right now in the Justice Department to get to the bottom of the pain clinic problem? They started in Canada and then paper-clipped into the United States. Again, I still don't think that's a wild tangent. Here's another story I did about Alpha Bank, and I said the red and blue are the Alpha Bank 1 and 2, and then here's this activity from this Spectrum Health. And I had said, when you're behind a big firewall at Spectrum Health and you're selling drugs, and you're getting all those opioids and you're replacing them with your half-weight or quarter-weight opioids, you can sell them at a pain clinic. And I connected these 2 things, Spectrum Health. Again, if I'm there as an Awan and I'm taking somebody's laptop, like Laurel Everly's laptop, to do this, and I'm going to put a demon or a bug in there into Trump Tower, this would be a logical place to do it from, which is Spectrum Health. Again, is that a wild Is that a wild tangent? I don't think so. I'm already in Michigan to check on my doctors, right? And seeing, hey, how are we doing on paper clipping doctors into Michigan? As long as I'm in Grand Rapids, I may as well put a bug on Trump's tower. Now, these three lines were the three conventions, DNC hack and the three conventions, and then it spiked up. Is that not the pattern that exactly what happened, which is once we knew Trump was the candidate, then we're going to attack him? And if you go to the Slate article, I don't know if you go to that movie that I did, I drilled down not only on what happened in the hack, which is, again, the attacks start after the Democratic National Convention, and they know Trump, and the first bug is placed a little bit around the time of the Seth Rich thing, and then they cycle it up here, and then right before the election, this article comes out, which is written by Franklin Foer. But I remember doing the analysis on this, and I said, Tea Leaves is a guy at Cambridge University. He is on the hacking team of Carl Bildt. Carl Bildt works with NATO. They do have hacking teams. I'm not sure if this is the fancy bears at GCHQ or not, but I think, or Sea Bears, I can't remember what I said at the time, or they were the Dukes and now they're the Sea Bears. But I speculated, who is Tea Leaves? Again, here's somebody using a fake name. They're not coming out with their real name, okay? But yet he's being quoted avidly. I postulated, again, maybe it's a wild tangent, but I have postulated, I went through and found all the hackers at Cambridge University. I found the expert, these umbrage attacks. I looked for an expert who was an expert in umbrage attacks, and this was using that hacking tool called umbrage to make it look like the Russians did it. But I went further than that, and I drilled down and I said, Hillary usually accuses everyone of what she does. I drilled down on this guy named Friedman, who had started this Bolshevik baking company. I had said it looked like a drug front. It looked like he was laundering money by investing in the United States. He was also with this other guy named Aven. I don't know about Aven, but I think Friedman, that guy, is doing drugs in Ukraine. I'd said that this letter 1 was a funnel to launder money. And as much as he was reinvesting it into the healthcare market, I speculated at the time he was putting it into Spectrum Health, okay? And then he turned around and sank $200 million into Uber. And I went on to say Uber's collecting thousands of different pieces of information from your phone that have nothing to do with you getting an Uber and your geolocation. Where the heck is that information going? You know, and I had speculated Lyft was a better service than Uber. Again, I don't think those are wild tangents. I don't think identifying these people that are actually probably criminal partners with Hillary for America, potentially, and they're laundering money in the USA, and exactly how their vehicles of laundering money, and are they putting money into Spectrum Health or not, and their investment in Uber, I just don't think that's a wild tangent. I think that's drilling down.